The Marvel Cinematic Universe has arguably been granted the title of the longest, most constantly updated franchise with new stories and character arcs that spread throughout different yet multiple films. Following Avengers Endgame, after more than a decade of seeing certain characters grow and conclude their story arc, it gave the opportunity to explore legacies in the larger universe. One of the pillars and part of the MCU's Big Three, Captain America, specifically Steve Rogers, served a vital role to play in the Infinity Saga for the better part of 8 years, becoming a worthy and honest hero that the world needed most. When his story came to a close in the final moments of Endgame, he passed along the shield to one of his closest allies, Sam Wilson, to take on the mantle next and to carry the future on his back. It gave Marvel Studios its first real big avenue to explore the idea of succession in the MCU, and while it may have taken nearly 6 years to showcase how that could be fully done, it was all eyes pivoted to see if a central moving storyline can be brought back into the multiverse saga, as well as to answer, is Sam Wilson worthy to be the leader that the world gravely needs next? This is After the Theater from Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World. When the curtains closed for Steve Rogers at the end of Avengers Endgame, Sam Wilson not only had to say goodbye to a close ally and friend, but he also had to start to learn to trust in himself to become a worthy successor to the mantle that was just given to him. But for the audience, it wouldn't be a traditional way to see Sam's next chapter in the MCU play out, as Disney pushed Marvel Studios to produce television series for their brand new shining streaming platform, Disney+. As a result, his first new steps came in the series The Falcon and Winter Soldier, co-starring with Sebastian Stan, as it explored Steve's legacy and the internal struggle Sam has to deal with for him to become the new Captain America. The series, at least in my and a lot of other people's opinion, was very well received and it encouraged enough fanfare to move forward into development of a proper theatrical adventure for Wilson's Captain America to take stage. Series writers Malcolm Spellman and Delon Mulson were requested to return to carve out the next chapter in Sam's story, this time on the big screen. For the time being, just the pair until 2022, when Julius Onah joined the project to become the director. The trio of creatives agreed that the film's primary focus was that Sam Wilson is now officially Captain America, with no self-doubt attached, and now the audience can finally see that for themselves. Sadly, in the film's near 4 years from announcement to release was plagued with creative issues, multiple delays, and unexpected events from occurring that actually put into questionability what would the film's final form look like. Only to mention a few was the sad passing of original Thunderbolt Ross actor William Hurt, the dual strikes of Hollywood in 2023, and the film receiving a 9-month delay in which during that time there were story changes, character pivots, creative changes, and just a general confusion on where was this film heading to be. Despite of all of that, Anthony Mackie's solo film debut as the new MCU Captain America arrived in time for Valentine's Day of 2025, only in theaters. We begin nearly a few years after we left off with Sam fully embracing his new mantle as Captain America, as Thaddeus Ross embraces his new role as President of the United States of America, dictating a message of togetherness, as the world continues to chart a new path forward following the events of Endgame. 5 months later from that point, Sam and his new partner, the new Falcon, Danny Torres, heads off to recover a piece of what essentially will be the foundation for this new path forward. However, what they don't realize yet is that they're stepping into a long carved path that will lead into the destruction of many worlds, not just theirs, but the personal ones of a few, as no matter how much you pivot to the future, your past always has a way of coming around. The premise, rather the core presence, honestly, as depending on the direction you choose to interpret, can sometimes be viewed as impactful, but sometimes as well as perplexing to say the least. Since the events of Eternals, yes, that film is still and finally canon outside of their own project, the Celestial Baby is still in the ocean and now fruiting some unexpected gold. This being Adamantium, more famous in Wolverine lore, has now finally arrived in the MCU to usurp Vibranium. Ross's true focus is to make a positive legacy after being essentially messy to look at after his campaign to get the Hulk, then directly leading to the Avengers dividing themselves before Thanos' crusade began. Arguably his biggest voice of concern is of Sam himself, who has been one of the many victims of Ross's actions in the past and is not entirely filled with trust with this new lead that he's taking on for himself. It's not very easy to forgive and forget for someone who has received pain from another. There's much more of that to go around here. Sam Wilson here is very much focused on being the best he can be. He's of course not Steve Rogers, and we're long past the conversations on that point already. He is the new Captain America and everyone knows it. While I would have loved to see him in the last 3 years winning public approval after how things ended in the series, however, I'm perfectly satisfied when not receiving it, as we already know who Sam is as a person for his previous appearances. We know his values and morals, even if he skipped the show. Steve chose him for a very specific reason, and above all else, he was the only real successor in mind for us to fully get behind. You see him around peers and comrades view him as not as this legendary figure, but as another human being, someone who's putting in the work day after day just like anyone else. Sam has a good sense of humanity, which imbues him here as he has to learn essentially seeing that even people we feel like are long past the point of no return still deserve a chance. Anthony Mackie delivers here as he's now able to fully take center stage in an MCU film. Thunderbolt Ross, which arguably is the co-lead here, this is the character's full circle moment. This is the conclusion of how he was in Incredible Hulk, to Civil War, to now. It's never too late to reinvent yourself, but it's important to see how you conduct yourself with your less proud moments when they come back up. Like I said before, William Hurt passed away before he got the chance to bring his character to the true forefront, with now Harrison Ford stepping in, doing the absolute best that he can. I give him full props here for finding a good bridge between what William did for the role to what he had to do for the character here. Honestly, how he's portrayed here is enough that you don't fully need to see how the two aforementioned films to get to where he's come from. You feel he is a man that is trying to atone for his past mistakes, to give a chance to redeem himself in not just the people of the world, but also to his daughter. We always knew deep down he truly did care for her, but here he's pulling out all the stops to show the best side of himself, which is a respectful and honorable thing for one to do. Not to run away, but to run forward ahead. With all the non-spoily stuff here, there is a lot to say about the real bulk of the movie. Continuing with the secondary cast, it's a 50-50 toss-up. I love the continuation of Joaquin and Isaiah from the show. While the way Joaquin came into Sam's orbit isn't properly shown or really fleshed out, their banter is unique in its own right and definitely showcases his worth to being the new Falcon. Hearing his short speech to Sam at the end, where he never really wanted to be any of the big heroes, but to be like Sam because of his morals and values, sells me on his determination and his value. For Isaiah, I really wish in another life we would have gotten to see his arc be more on the focal front. We did get some of that in the show, seeing him being used as a pawn in the larger plan and the emotional reactions coming out of it. It made me want more of that it could have undercut a much more richer and personal story that honestly we could have used in this quasi-Captain America relaunch. Carl Lumbly does amazing in the role. I just wanted to see more of him. Now to the other half, which is of Ruth and Leela, I can't lie, I really have nothing to say about them. Ruth being a former Black Widow, my guess is to be a middle ground adversary later allied to Sam, which honestly, I never really got behind that direction. She should have just been on Sam's side from the get-go. It's funny how each super soldier got their own Black Widow ally, then and future by this point, so that's my rough guess on it. But sadly, she never brings the same impact or real purpose besides being another fighter on the hero team. Leela, I can't really gravitate to the character's true purpose. I know in the comics that she's a love interest for Sam, which I guess could have worked here if that was the angle, but she's just there. Being Ross's direct protector, her scenes are more or less just to move along the plot with maybe one or two chuckle scenes thrown in there. Not much I could really say beyond that. Our friends for Sam's first true solo outing honestly don't really belong in this particular Captain America film. We start with Sidewinder, played by Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. For context, this is my particular review of the film and their characters, so knowing Giancarlo's magna opus role in Breaking Bad was always going to benefit and haunt him at the same time. Being a villain in Star Wars, The Boys, Far Cry, now in the MCU, there's only so much direction you can take being a villain with just your voice alone. Here, I tried really hard to view Sidewinder his own unique thing, but besides some cocky lines and a couple of badass moments, I really questioned that this was the right direction for him to play. He is essentially a cannon compass, providing Sam with crumbs on his next moves on the real villain at play here. But for me, I wish he could have had more time to truly been his own threat to Sam. Maybe not here, but in a hypothetical follow-up. It didn't feel like this is the type of villain that was needed for this particular adventure. To the true big bad of the picture, the long-awaited return of Samuel Stearns, the leader in the comics, one of the Hulk's greatest foes, and here, I just really couldn't get behind him. I really feel for Tim Blake Nelson, his actor, being asked after 17 years to come back to finally embrace the character's destiny. Only for this? I will give them credit for giving us to why Samuel is who he is now. It does tie directly into Ross's story on his past actions having consequences, finally leading back up to him. Samuel was just a researcher who wanted to work on what he was passionate about, but being locked up for almost 2 decades? Yeah, I get why he wants to finally put Ross in his place. Who wouldn't? But motivation still need conviction and presentation. For how smart he is, the character never did anything of shocking value to put me back in my seat. When Sam thwarts his original plan, him yelling as a kid is when I fully lost it. I just could not with that. Even during his final bow before pulling the lid on Ross's true form, wasn't even hitting those oh my god moments. More like he was pandering just to save time. Ross being the Red Hulk was of course for comic book realization to finally have him become him. But for me, I'm always going to feel empty on it since this was meant to be Hurt's destination, not Ford's. Again, he does what he needs to do well, it's just the aspect of Red Hulk being here as the final boss for Sam, it didn't feel like the right call. Sure, we're at this point with comic book movies that not all the time the heroes need to face their own villains. Look at Shang-Chi with the Mandarin. He is more of an Iron Man villain, which never happened in the MCU. Their fight was cool and all. Honestly, some really cool shots came out of it. Yet similar to how it was in Civil War, where Steve had to beat Tony since it was his film, despite Sam having no super strength, him fighting a Hulk with his own bare wits and tools, I raised that as him finding all the possible ways for him to win because of his resourceful nature as a hero, but no one in their right minds would ever say this battle was always going to be truly in Sam's favor. For all this film went through, the reshoot period, essentially being billed as the Incredible Hulk 2, losing the Serpent Society with just Serpent, the leader's design going from a more understandable and respecting the comics to this. I'll give mention to Ruth's role being cut heavily due to the ongoing world issues and the very awkward opening fight scene with Sam and Copperhead, the big dude with the shades. Never on screen named him, but that's him. I can get passes for all that, because there are strokes of greatness under all of these patch jobs. Ross's struggles were felt. Isaiah's emotions powered beyond a lot in this movie. And most importantly, we fully see and undeniably can speak to the fact Sam Wilson is Captain America. He was always meant to be the next symbol. Bucky said it best, he may not be a super soldier, but that wasn't the qualification. It was because the person that Sam is was the inspiration to others, not to marvel like they did with Steve, but to aspire to be him. That anyone could be like Sam and his values to the people of the world. This was the job of the film for the general and the fans of the comics to hopefully see and understand that point. Unlike that post-credit scene, like, come on Samuel, just make us understand what the heck you're trying to say. Is it really hard to not be vague and basic? Brave New World came out at a time where the MCU brand was kind of in this weird zone of quality. As Marvel Studios continues to fix up its quality output, this film was just sadly caught in the middle of that. As there were moments in the movie where it did fly and soar to where it needed to be, but then there was a lot of moments where it would just struggle to get off the ground. And maybe one of the few people that actually can see that there is a really good amount of greatness in this film, but sadly this isn't one of my favorite Captain America films. The effort is noticed and will not be discarded. And Anthony Mackie did manage to prove to everyone, to myself and to the larger world, he is the new Captain America, one that we really need right now. I'm glad to have seen this movie in theaters and to support our brand new Cap properly, and I will gladly do so again when he does return again on the big screen in Avengers Doomsday. With that in mind, I give this film my score of 3 out of 5 stars, or my personal ranking of a medium popcorn and a soda. Let me know down below, what did you think of Captain America Brave New World? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. But that's going to do it for me today, everyone. This has been Joe here from After the Theater. Thank you so much for watching our movie review for Marvel Studios' Captain America Brave New World. If you want to see more movie reviews such as this one, please subscribe to us here on youtube.com/ActionX videos. If you want to see our home media unboxing of the movie, please go over to our other sister channel at The Collection Compass. But again, thank you so much for watching again. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media for more. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.